The light cruiser Crimson Talon shuddered as it dropped from hyperspace, its sensors immediately overwhelmed by electromagnetic interference. Commander Vix Razar gripped her command chair, scaled knuckles whitening as proximity alarms blared across the bridge. "Status report!" she barked, tail lashing against the polished deck plates. Lieutenant Maverick's claws danced across his console. "Unknown, Commander. Half our systems are offline. The planetary defense grid should have been disabled by our advance." "Team, but—" The ship lurched violently, throwing several crew members to the floor. "Massive energy spike from the planet's surface," Tactical Officer Nezik announced, her frills expanding in alarm. "It's not matching any known Terran weapon. Signature." The command deck fell silent. The Draconian hegemony had conquered 17 systems across 3 spiral arms. Their intelligence on Earth's defensive capabilities was supposed to be flawless. The Obsidian Fang and Void Serpent are reporting similar anomalies. "Communications," Officer Drazak reported. "They're requesting instructions." Commander Razar's inner eyelids flickered nervously. 3 elite warships of the hegemony's fleet, reduced to drifting targets above an allegedly primitive world. The Emperor would have her scales for this failure. "Deploy reconnaissance drones. I want visual confirmation of what we're facing." Her voice remained steady despite the growing dread in her chest. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the blue-green planet below. Earth looked peaceful, unthreatening. A deception that had already cost the lives of 7 advance. Scout ships over the past rotation cycle. "Drones launched," Maverick confirmed. Moments later, the bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the drone's transmissions revealed not primitive defenses, but a complex orbital grid of satellites unlike anything in Draconian records. "Impossible," Razar whispered. "The humans shouldn't have this technology for another century." A blinding flash erupted from the planet's surface. The Void Serpent, carrying over 8,000 of the hegemony's finest warriors, disintegrated in seconds. "Emergency protocols! All hands to escape pods!" Razar ordered, abandoning pride for survival. As the Crimson Talon began breaking apart around them, the last transmission from the bridge to Hegemony High Command was simple. "Earth is not what we thought. Beware." 12 light-years away, Fleet Admiral Corvin Isaac received the garbled distress signal with growing horror. 3 elite warships vanished. The Hegemony Council would demand explanations, and he had none to give. "Assemble a recovery team," he ordered his aide, "and find me everything we know about humans. There's clearly much more to these creatures than our intelligence suggested." What nobody in the hegemony yet realized was that humanity had been expecting them. For decades, Earth had intercepted and decoded Draconian transmissions, preparing, in secret for the inevitable invasion, and now, with the first strike successfully repelled, humanity was ready to reveal itself to the wider galaxy. Orbital Defense Platform. Athena hummed with activity as Admiral Priala Vostok watched the remains of the Draconian vessels scatter across Earth's upper atmosphere, creating spectacular light, shows visible from the continents below. "Magnificent work, everyone," she announced to her command staff, brushing a lock of silver-streaked copper hair from her face. 3 warships neutralized with minimal power expenditure. Her second-in-command, Commodore Rictor Kazemi, approached with a data tablet. "The quantum disruption field worked exactly as designed, Admiral. Their systems never knew what hit them." "And the survivors?" Vostok asked, her voice dropping to ensure privacy. 26 escape pods tracked and recovered, Kazemi confirmed. "Approximately 200 Draconians in total. They're being transported to Facility Omega in the Antarctic Research Zone." Vostok nodded solemnly. The United Earth Defense Council had prepared for this encounter for 15 years, ever since the first hegemony transmission was intercepted by the Deep Space Array on Europa. What had started as a scientific curiosity, proof of intelligent, alien life, had quickly transformed into an existential threat when Earth's linguists decoded the Draconians' militaristic intentions. "The Council is convening in 30 minutes. Kazemi reminded her. "They'll want your full assessment." "They'll get it," Vostok replied, turning back to the observation window. "But they won't like what I have to tell them." In the sterile white halls of Facility Omega, xenobiologist Dr. Elian Nassar studied the unconscious Draconian before him. The reptilian alien was impressive, nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent scales that shifted from emerald to cobalt depending on the lighting. Powerful muscles suggested an evolutionary history as apex predators. "Fascinating biology," Dr. Nassar murmured to his assistant, Dr. Pax Okafor. "Their cellular structure suggests an incredible regenerative capacity, which explains why their species conquered so much territory so quickly," Pax replied, adjusting the stasis field. "They're built for warfare. The question is, can we communicate with them peacefully?" Before Nassar could respond, the Draconian's eyes snapped open, vertical pupils dilating in the bright laboratory light. The creature hissed, revealing rows of serrated teeth. "I believe we're about to find out," Nassar said calmly, activating the universal translator they'd developed from intercepted hegemony communications. Meanwhile, deep within the hegemony's capital world of Draconis Prime, Fleet, Admiral Isaac faced the Emperor's inner council. 7 ancient Draconians, their scales dulled with age but eyes still sharp with cunning, stared down at him from their elevated platforms. 3 warships. 3 irreplaceable warships lost to a species you assured us was barely capable of lunar. "Travel!" Elder Counselor Vashti snarled, her voice carrying despite her advanced age. Isaac bowed low. "The intelligence was flawed, Honored Elder. The humans have concealed their true technological advancement." Or perhaps, another counselor suggested, they had help. A murmur ran through the chamber. "The Arcturus Collective?" someone suggested. "Or the Novarian Republic?" Emperor Zerath raised a clawed hand for silence. "Whatever the truth, the fact remains that Draconian warriors have been captured by an unknown power. This cannot stand." He turned his ancient gaze to Isaac. "Admiral, you will assemble a battle fleet. You will recover our people, determine the true nature of this human threat, and you will make an example of Earth that will echo across the galaxy for millennia to come." As the council chamber emptied, none of the Draconians noticed the small maintenance drone that had been recording every word, a drone controlled by human hands half a galaxy away. The Draconian prisoner, designated as Alpha, sat rigidly across from interrogator Mira Kwan, his scaled hands bound by energy restraints that glowed a soft blue against his emerald skin. His name, they had learned, was Nezek, tactical officer from the destroyed Crimson Talon. "Your species has been monitoring our communications for years," Nezek stated, not a question but an accusation. "That's the only explanation for your preparedness." Kwan's face remained impassive, though inwardly she admired the alien's perceptiveness. "We prefer the term listening to monitoring. Your hegemony broadcasts quite loudly across subspace." The reptilian's neck frills fluttered, a sign of agitation, according to the xenobiology briefing. "The Emperor will not tolerate this insult. Even now, a fleet gathers to reduce your world to ash." "A fleet under Admiral Isaac's command," Kwan replied, enjoying the momentary widening of Nezek's pupils. "Yes, we know about that too." The interrogation chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth's intelligence network extended far deeper into hegemony territory than any Draconian had suspected. In high orbit above Mars, the Earth Defense Fleet conducted combat drills. Under the watchful eye of Fleet Commander Orion Matsuda, 47 vessels, ranging from nimble corvettes to the massive dreadnought Humanity's Resolve, executed precision maneuvers that would have been impossible a decade ago. "Simulation complete," announced his AI assistant, Aria. "Combat effectiveness, rated at 89.7% against projected hegemony tactics." Matsuda frowned. "Not good enough. The Draconians have been spacefaring predators for over 1,000 years. We need to be better. Perhaps, came a voice from behind him. We have something that might help. Matsuda turned to find Dr. Nassar entering the bridge, accompanied by a holographic projection of what appeared to be the inner workings of a Draconian vessel. We've extracted the technical specifications of their propulsion and weapon systems from the prisoner's neural patterns, Nassar explained. They use quantum entanglement for targeting. Brilliant, but predictable once you understand the underlying mathematics. Matsuda studied the projection with newfound hope. Can we exploit this? My team is already developing countermeasures, Nassar confirmed. When Admiral Isaac arrives, he'll find humanity far from the easy conquest his emperor expects. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the Sol system, automated probes detected the first quantum ripples of an approaching hegemony fleet. Earth had perhaps 3 weeks before the invasion force arrived. In the Antarctic facility, Commander Vix Razar paced her cell, mind racing. Unlike her subordinates, she had revealed nothing to her human captors. But her silence stemmed not from loyalty to the hegemony, but from a dangerous secret she carried, one that could reshape the coming conflict. For Razar was not merely a Draconian commander. She was part of the hidden resistance movement that sought to overthrow the Emperor's brutal regime. And perhaps, in these humans, she had found unexpected allies. When her cell door slid open to reveal Admiral Vostok herself, Razar knew the time for secrets had passed. I understand you've requested a private audience, Vostok said, dismissing the guards with a gesture. Razar drew herself to her full height. What I am about to tell you will sound impossible, but it may be the key to preventing a war that will devastate both our peoples. The United Earth Defense Council chamber fell silent as Admiral Vostok completed her briefing. 16 of humanity's highest-ranking military and civilian leaders sat stunned by the revelation. To summarize, Council Chair Ezekiel Rivera said, breaking the silence, you're telling us that the Draconian Empire is on the verge of civil war, and Commander Razar's lost ships were actually attempting to defect? That's her claim, Vostok confirmed. According to Razar, approximately 30% of the hegemony's military supports the resistance movement. They've been searching for allies powerful enough to tip the balance. Counselor Ayana Mwangi leaned forward, skepticism evident in her expression. And we're supposed to believe their fleet was disabled by accident, not by our defensive grid? Our systems did engage them, Vostok acknowledged, but Razar insists they were already experiencing critical malfunctions. Sabotage from within, apparently. The implications were staggering. What had seemed like a straightforward defense against invasion was potentially something far more complex. The opening move in a galactic civil war. If Razar is telling the truth, Strategic Operations Director Layton added, the incoming fleet under Admiral Isaac represents the Emperor's loyal forces. They're coming not just to conquer Earth, but to eliminate any evidence of defection. Chair Rivera surveyed the room. Opinions. After hours of debate, a fragile consensus emerged. Earth would cautiously explore alliance with the Draconian resistance, while continuing preparations for full-scale defense. Trust would be earned, not freely given. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the subaquatic research facility known as Poseidon's Forge, engineer Kitra Levy made the final adjustments to what might be humanity's greatest weapon, or its salvation. Integration complete, she announced to the team of scientists surrounding the massive device. The quantum disruption field now incorporates Draconian encryption algorithms. Dr. Okafor studied the diagnostic readouts with satisfaction. With this modification, we can selectively target hegemony vessels based on their command signatures. In theory, resistance ships should be unaffected. In theory, Levy emphasized. We won't know for certain until we test it against actual Draconian technology. Okafor gestured to the scaled figure observing from behind reinforced glass. Lieutenant Meverick, one of Razar's officers who had volunteered to assist. That's why we have help. Elsewhere in the facility, Commander Razar met with Earth's top military strategists, providing insights into hegemony battle tactics and fleet formations. The cultural exchange flowed both ways. She found herself increasingly impressed by human adaptability and technological innovation. Your species achieved in decades what took mine centuries, she admitted to Fleet Commander Matsuda during a tactical simulation. It's remarkable. Necessity, Matsuda replied simply. We've been preparing for this confrontation since we first detected your communications. Razar's inner eyelids flickered thoughtfully. Perhaps that is why the prophecies led us to your world. Prophecies? Matsuda asked, suddenly alert. An ancient belief among my people, she explained, that the hegemony would one day face a worthy adversary who would either destroy us entirely or help us evolve beyond our warlike nature. Her reptilian features formed what might have been a smile. The scales of destiny, we call it. As she spoke, automated defense platforms along the edge of the solar system detected the first vessels of Admiral Isaac's battle fleet dropping out of hyperspace 3 days earlier than expected. The moment of truth had arrived sooner than anyone had anticipated. Admiral Isaac's command vessel, the Sovereign Claw, emerged from hyperspace at the head of 63 warships, the largest hegemony fleet assembled in over a century. His scaled fingers tapped impatiently on the armrest of his command chair as sensor data flooded in. Curious, he muttered, studying the tactical display. Their outer system defenses are formidable, yet they've left obvious approach vectors, unchallenged. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Dreth, hissed in agreement. A primitive attempt at creating a kill zone, Admiral. They hope to funnel our forces into their prepared defenses. Isaac wasn't convinced. Something about the human defensive posture felt deliberate, almost inviting. His instincts, honed over 3 centuries of warfare, screamed of danger. Deploy scout vessels along multiple vectors, he ordered. And prepare a diplomatic shuttle. Dreth's head frills extended in shock. Diplomatic, Admiral? The Emperor ordered— I know what the Emperor ordered, Isaac snapped. But I intend to look these humans in the eyes before I exterminate them. I want to understand. The species that destroyed 3 of our most advanced warships. The real reason, one he would admit to no one, was the disturbing intelligence that had reached him just before departure. Rumors of high-ranking defectors among the missing ships. If true, the implications for the hegemony would be catastrophic. On Earth, tension mounted in the Global Command Center beneath Geneva as Admiral Vostok and the Defense Council watched the hegemony fleets approach. They're being cautious, Vostok observed. Isaac is no fool. Commander Razar, now wearing an Earth uniform modified for her physiology, studied the tactical display with narrowed eyes. He suspects something. This is not standard hegemony deployment. Can you identify which vessels might belong to your resistance? Counselor Rivera asked. Razar indicated several ships on the display. These cruisers bear the markings of captains sympathetic to our cause, but they would not act without assurance that it isn't a trap. Then we must provide that assurance, Vostok decided. She turned to communications. Prepare a tight beam transmission, using the resistance recognition codes Commander Razar provided. As Earth's forces tensed for possible battle, a surprising message reached the command center. Admiral Isaac was requesting direct communication with Earth's leadership. It's a stalling tactic, Leighton warned. He's assessing our defenses. Perhaps, Vostok agreed. But it also gives us time to coordinate with potential allies in his fleet. The connection was established, and Admiral Isaac's reptilian visage filled the main screen. His scales were a deeper crimson than Razar's, with cybernetic enhancements visible around his left eye. I address the leaders of Earth, he began formally. I am... He stopped abruptly as Commander Razar stepped into view. For a moment, genuine shock registered on his face before his training reasserted control. "Commander Razar," he said coldly, "the Emperor will be most interested to learn of your survival and your new allegiances." "The Emperor's reign nears its end, Isaac," she replied calmly. "Many in your fleet already know this." A dangerous silence followed. "You speak treason," Isaac finally said. "I speak truth," she countered. "And I offer you a choice. Join us in creating a new future for the hegemony, or be remembered as the last admiral of a fallen empire." As they spoke, undetected by either side, a third faction approached the Sol system. Sleek vessels of unknown design, drawn by the conflict between two species whose alliance could reshape the power dynamics of the entire galaxy. The unknown vessels emerged silently from the shadow of Saturn, their hulls absorbing rather than reflecting light. 7 ships of elegant, organic design, neither human nor draconian in origin. Earth's long-range sensors detected them first. In the Geneva Command Center, alarms triggered as the unidentified fleet accelerated toward the standoff between human and hegemony forces. "New contacts," announced Tactical Officer Juno Wen. "Configuration unknown. No matching signatures in any database. The diplomatic connection with Admiral Isaac's flagship still open." The Draconian commander noticed the sudden activity in the Earth Command Center. "What deception is this?" he demanded, suspicion darkening his features. Admiral Vostok made a split-second decision for transparency. "We have unidentified vessels approaching from the outer system. They are neither ours nor yours, Admiral." On the Sovereign Claws Bridge, Isaac's tactical officers confirmed the Earth Commander's claim. The mysterious ships were now broadcasting on all frequencies, a signal containing mathematical sequences recognized throughout the galaxy as an attempt at peaceful communication. "The Outriders," Razar whispered, her voice filled with awe. "They're real." "Explain," Vostok demanded. "Legends among my people speak of ancient observers who appear at pivotal moments in galactic history," Razar explained. "Most consider them myths, but some believe they are an elder race who guide the evolution of younger species." The largest of the unknown vessels positioned itself between the human and Draconian fleets. A transmission reached both command centers simultaneously, a visual of a being unlike any human or Draconian had encountered before. Tall and slender with crystalline features that refracted light in hypnotic patterns, the entity spoke in perfectly translated language. "We are the Luminari," the being announced. "We have observed both your species for millennia. This convergence was foreseen and necessary." In the stunned silence that followed, the Luminari representative continued. "The conflict between your civilizations masks a greater threat approaching from beyond the galactic rim. Ancient enemies of all sentient life return after 50,000 years of hibernation." Admiral Isaac's diplomatic posturing evaporated. "What evidence do you offer of this claim?" The Luminari transmitted data packets to both fleets, astronomical. Observations showing massive objects decelerating at the galaxy's edge, objects that appeared to be planet-sized vessels. The Void Heralds, the Luminary named them. Consumers of worlds. They have destroyed 12 galaxies in their eternal migration. Your conflict is meaningless before this threat. In Geneva, the Defense Council reviewed the data with mounting horror. The evidence was irrefutable. A force of unimaginable power approached, one that would render petty territorial disputes irrelevant. The hegemony prophecies, Razar realized. They weren't about humans challenging our dominance. They foretold this moment, when we would need to stand together. Admiral Isaac, faced with extinction of not just his empire but all life in the galaxy, made the decision that would define his place in history. "Earth Command," he transmitted. "I propose an immediate cessation of hostilities and the formation of a joint defense council." Admiral Vostok exchanged glances with her commanders before responding. "Agreed, Admiral." The survival of both our species takes precedence. Within hours, the unthinkable occurred. Draconian and human officers working side by side, sharing technologies and strategies. The resistance vessels in Isaac's fleet openly declared their allegiance, but instead of civil war, they found common purpose with the Loyalists. The Luminari provided coordinates for a gathering of species across the galaxy, all preparing to face the coming storm. Earth and the hegemony would send representatives together. As the first joint human-Draconian defense fleet prepared to depart the Sol system, Admiral Vostok found Commander Razar on an observation deck, watching Earth recede in the distance. "Your people have a remarkable home," Razar said softly. "Soon to be our shared home, if we survive what's coming," Vostok replied. Razar turned to her, reptilian features solemn. "When the first ships were lost above your world, the universe demanded answers. But the question was never why they vanished. It was why we found each other at all. Across the vast emptiness of space, countless civilizations prepared for the greatest challenge any of them had ever faced. But none had what Earth and the hegemony now possessed: the perfect balance of draconian might and human innovation, forged in the crucible of what had nearly been their mutual destruction. The universe had indeed demanded answers, and together they would provide them.